gani? Thank you very much.
Asanteni sana, tafadhali tunaweza kuketi chini. Asante sana. Sonkore yuko area lakini atulize kidogo. Ndugu viongozi wote wenzangu, watu wa Mombasa, wangwana wa boda, hamjambo. Ni furaha yangu kubwa sana kurudi hapa tena Mombasa. Mnajua mambo ni mangapi? Between the 4th and the 6th of September 2023, our country will have the honor of co-hosting the Africa Climate Summit with the Africa Union Secretariat at our capital in Nairobi. During this event, African and international leadership will gather to engage in robust deliberations with a view to making significant progress in formulating just, effective, and inclusive policies to combat climate change, thereby averting a global warming apocalypse. At the summit, we shall revisit various international instruments and commitments at the multilateral level in order to reach an understanding on the best ways of rallying together under a new compact aimed at achieving effective climate action on an ambitious global scale through a combination of social justice, economic transformation, unprecedented investment in a just transition to net zero by formulating strategies for effective action and inspiring environmental and climate action leadership. Without a doubt, the time has come for Africa to add a firm, clear voice to the global climate change discourse and to provide leadership in effective climate action, as well as a new clean, green industrial revolution which delivers sustained economic transformation and shared prosperity for humanity, while facilitating the rehabilitation, recovery, resurgence, and resilience of the Earth's capacity to sustain life in its fullest diversity. As I have said before, Africa is stepping forward as a united continent and one people to lead the next phase of global development by offering its unique endowments of abundance in natural resources, youthful and highly skilled human capital, and peerless green energy potential in the service of a new industrial age. We are the young green continent of the future, and the future is here with us. Next week, we announce to the whole world an agenda for ensuring that humanity thrives in this future while securing the Earth's ability to support biodiversity. The privilege to host this momentous event underscores Kenya's well-established global green growth and climate action leadership credentials and decade-long endeavor as a champion of environmental conservation and the protection of biodiversity. Since the first decade of our independence, we have been a consistent champion of the global environmental agenda, and today, environmental diplomacy remains a critical pillar of our foreign policy. Nairobi is the host city of the only United Nations headquarters in the Global South. The United Nations Environmental Programme, the focal point of multilateral environmental policy agenda, has its home in Kenya. Kenya's leadership of the global environment sector is not accidental. Neither is it Thank you. Let me take that again. Kenya's leadership of the global environmental sector is not accidental. Neither is it restricted to the international arena. The people of Kenya are united in categorically committing in their determination to respect and sustain the environment for present and future generations. The constitutional commitment in Article 69(1)(a) mandates the state to ensure the sustainable exploitation, utilization, and management of the environment, while under Article 69(1)(g), the state is further mandated to eliminate processes and activities that are likely to endanger the environment. Further, our National Economic Development Blueprint Vision 2030 sets out Kenya's ambition to transform into a highly industrialized middle-income country, providing a high quality of life for all its citizens by 2030 in a clean and secure environment. In short, a strong commitment to the environmental sustainability as an essential feature of Kenya's national identity and a fundamental element of the National Development Agenda is firmly in our Constitution. This is why our bottom-up economic transformation agenda explicitly plugs into global environmental and climate change agenda through the bottom-up 3P agenda, which commits us to attend simultaneously to the people's well-being, the planet's ecological vibrancy, and the capacity of enterprises to generate profits sustainably. We take our commitments under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change very seriously. Therefore, we remain firmly on course to meet the pollution reduction targets under the Paris Agreement. We are also taking decisive steps in our shift to zero emissions. As pertains to the environment, climate action, and ecological responsible industrialization, Kenya is in it for Kenya, for Africa, and for the world. We are doing it for our citizens and also for humanity. For this reason, we have designed and designated a Ministry for Environment and Climate Change to undertake the National Climate Action Plan in order to facilitate the achievement of our national environmental, biodiversity, and climate change imperatives, including under our nationally determined contributions. We are committed to enhancing our climate action by adopting low-carbon and efficient transportation systems through the application of innovations, including clean, efficient, and sustainable energy technologies. The bottom-up agenda for economic transformation identifies the adoption of electric mobility, or e-mobility, as a priority intervention to achieve the win-win outcomes of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, providing cheaper transport, and leveraging our large local and regional motorcycle market to build an electric motor vehicle industry. Motorcycles comprise the fastest growing form of transport in many countries. This fact has serious implications for climate change and air quality. Our continent now faces a tremendous CO2 emissions challenge owing to its huge two-wheeler internal combustion engine powered fleet. In many African countries, the air has a particle percentage that is well above the WHO recommendations. Aging fleets and unsustainable technologies are to blame for this big hazard. Here in Kenya, 2- and 3-wheeler vehicles comprise the largest share of our national fleet at 67%. Our cities and urban areas are in danger of turning into heavily polluted and unhealthy places, placing millions of enterprising people at great risk. It has been clear for some time now that something must be done about this. And today, we're doing it. I repeat, today, we are doing something about it. The adoption of electric mobility is a high priority intervention to address the challenges of pollution, adverse health effects, and fuel costs, which raise the cost of living. Successful transition of e-mobility requires a fundamental reconfiguration of our transportation systems through electrification and the provision of every necessary service and infrastructures throughout the ecosystem. Fortunately, Kenya is well ahead in laying down the foundations of this shift. We are a global leader in the production of clean, green energy. Over 90% of the power in our national grid is generated from renewable sources, and there remains potential to produce much more in the future through wind, solar, and geothermal generation, taking our generation to 100% by 2030. In order to achieve these intended aims, transition to e-mobility therefore calls for intensive investment, which is best undertaken by the private sector. Accordingly, through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we have developed a compelling package of incentives to attract serious investors in e-mobility to stake their capital on opportunities in our green growth plan. The effort is bearing fruit. The commitment that I see here today speaks to the success of the package of incentives that we have put together. The big debate that informed the finance bill that is now the Finance Act, among the packages in that bill was a whole incentive package around e-mobility. We removed taxes on components that would help us put together motor vehicles that use electricity. We also removed taxes on charging infrastructure. We also removed taxes on batteries and all components for purposes of e-mobility. This is among the package that we put in our finance bill, and I am very proud that the Parliament of Kenya passed it, and we are now rolling out the benefits of that bill. Let me say this. Because of the package we have put in place, the motor vehicle you see here, it's variable. Today in Kenya costs 200, the motorcycle here, today in Kenya, it costs anywhere between 275 and 300,000. But because of the actions we have undertaken, this motor vehicle is now going to sell, this motorcycle now is going to sell not for 270,000, but for 160,000. If you buy it cash. And I say this quite pointedly. I say this quite pointedly because this is a journey I have traveled. It's a journey I have traveled because I am probably the politician in Kenya who has had the largest number of Harambes to buy border borders for border circles. I say that without any fear of any contradiction. That is number one. Number two, I also traversed this country to listen to what the people of Kenya wanted. Amongst the sector that spoke to us with clarity is the border sector. The SACCOs, members, and the whole ecosystem around the border mobility. And they told us three things. Number one, they told us a motorcycle that ordinarily costs 130,000 ends up costing them 300,000. And they explained to us that there were people in that space who are doing business, and we respect tremendously what they have managed to assist us. Today, we have close to 2 million motorcycles in Kenya, and they're doing a good job, and we want to thank those who came ahead of us. But increasingly, it was becoming expensive, difficult, and that is why many people in the border sector ended up in CRBs and other places. So today, because of the policy interventions that we have put in place, because of the fiscal reliefs that we have put in place, this electric motorcycle has not only come down in terms of price from what it would cost to what it will cost now. And my expectation, and I have talked with Spiro and all the other investors in that space, that my expectation is that for the next 6 months, we will buy this motorcycle at 160,000, those who want to pay cash. But because in 6 months we expect them to assemble the motorcycle here in Kenya, that price will come down from 160,000. And again, in 12 months or thereabout, I will keep my focus on it. We want to manufacture the whole motor vehicle here in Kenya. And we expect again the price to come down. So that is the trajectory. That is where we are focused on. So that's number one. Number two, because of interest, many players in that space, because of many factors, exposure, many issues, were charging anywhere between 50 and 60% interest yearly. I am happy that even the people who do not have the money to pay cash, right? Now they have an opportunity to pay on credit, but they will not be paying 60%. They will be paying interest less than 10%. So this motorcycle, that is 160,000, if you pay on time, it will cost you a total of 190,000 or something below 200,000. After 3 years, that is all the money you will pay. The figure of 300,000 for a motor vehicle of 130,000 is no longer applicable. So instead, because many of the border people told me that they were being asked to pay between 400 and 500 shillings every day. Now this will cost you less than 200 shillings, maybe 100 daily. Let me tell you another good story, right? about e-mobility. The other good story about this e-mobility is that the battery that you will use is going to cost you half the fuel that you would use. For 70 kilometers, you will only pay 215 shillings. If you were to put fuel, you would need 400 shillings. So again, it is cheaper to operate this motorcycle than it is to operate the other one. So you not only get a good deal both ways, you also get to operate it much more cost effectively. And number three is the subject of safety. We all know that one of the biggest drawbacks from our border sector is that there are so many accidents. And many people try to criminalize this border sector that there was a problem. The e-mobility concept that we have now brought in place is that these motor vehicles will now have traceability. If somebody tries to steal, it can be switched off, as Moses said, C.S. Moses said. And number two, it cannot overspeed because the speed can be controlled from somewhere else. So even if you have a reckless rider, they will not have the luxury to ride this motor vehicle at speeds that are dangerous and that makes the whole enterprise a big expense on our health. So we are sorting out very many things. We are sorting out interest. We are sorting out the costs of the motorbike itself. We are sorting out safety. We are sorting out our environment. The biggest concept here is that the emissions that come from the huge resources we spend on importing fossil fuels will now go down because we will be using our renewable energy resources to drive our transport sector and our e-mobility will provide. And this is why I am delighted to preside over the launch of the Africa Smart Mobility Solutions Kenya Limited by Spiro, an e-mobility giant with a track record of success stories in electric vehicle industry whose footprint spreads from Benin to Togo all the way to Rwanda. SMS Kenya has a well-earned reputation for innovative battery swapping technologies and motorcycle customized to serve the African market needs. Through this and their voluntary approaches, they have saved our continent over 4,000 tons of carbon emissions, thereby providing a cleaner, greener alternative to traditional transportation. In Kenya, Spiro has established a high-tech electric motorcycle and battery manufacturing plant here in Dongokundu with capacity to assemble 1,000 e-bikes daily. I look forward to coming to look at that project. Spiro's investment in Kenyan farms affirms our commitment to facilitate a transition to e-mobility and sustainability in transportation. It also creates jobs and transfers technology, knowledge, and skills to our market in a very sustainable way. In short, the investment is fully aligned with our bottom-up economic transformation agenda, and I expect that not just Spiro, but all the other players in this field to work with us, work with the ministry responsible, so that we can all share in the market that exists and give ourselves the best possible opportunity. Spiro is also good news for our border industry. as I promised on Madaraka Day, the electric border with all its benefits was a promise then, it is a reality today. As Kenya's hard-working, all-weather providers of last-mile transportation for people and cargo, you are this nation's unsung heroes and a pillar of the hustler movement. You guys, let me repeat. My border people, let me say this. You are Kenya's hard-working, all-weather providers of last-mile transportation for people, for cargo, and I dare say you are our nation's unsung heroes, and of course, a great pillar of the hustler nation. You deserve recognition and support from everyone, especially this government. I assure border operators that the transition will significantly enhance your overall well-being, especially pocket-wise. Electric bikes are cheaper to run than their petrol counterparts by far. When the sufficient battery charging infrastructure has been established and rolled out, a critical mass of e-bikes reached, government will phase out motorcycles powered by internal combustion engines in the short term, with view to abolishing their importation altogether when we have a critical mass of e-bikes in our country. To Spiro, I welcome you once again to Kenya and congratulate you on your achievement. I also encourage you to lead other players in investing in the vast opportunities created by our endeavor to transition into sustainable technologies as part of the transition demanded by climate action. I also urge more players to join Spiro and deliver value and sustainability to our border operators and every other Kenyan. And I look forward to, I think the first 1,000 motorcycles are here. I have already authorized the first 10,000 to be brought into the country. And I am looking forward to an expanded space so that in 6 months' time, we should have a full factory in Kenya for CKD, assembly of these motorcycles, and other players are welcome to be in that space. And in a year, as I said, we want to have the manufacture of these motorcycles in Kenya for the Kenyan market, for the African market, and indeed for the global market as well. There exists tremendous potential. We now have close to 2 million motorcycles. Replacing the 2 million is a whole industry. And beyond the 2 million, I've seen the governor of Mombasa has said he's going to buy some, and we are going to make it the first choice means of transportation in our ecosystem. So I am really proud of our partners. Kenya Commercial Bank. Let us clap for this great bank. Kenya Commercial Bank has done the unimaginable. They have agreed to lend to the border sector at single-digit interest rates. That is tremendous confidence, not just in the border sector, but also in our country. Many other banks, Equity Bank, Cooperative Bank, Family Bank, and others have worked with us, build a lot of confidence around our economy, and I want to congratulate all the other banks that are partnering with us in making sure that we deliver the Kenyan vision, the transformation of our country. That is our collective responsibility as a nation. And in conclusion, let me conclude by saying asanteni sana. Vile nimesema ni kwamba niliwaahidi, nilitembea Kenya na nikasikiza ndugu zangu wa bodaboda, wakaniambia ya kwamba wanalipa interest 60%, kwa sababu pikipiki ya 1130 wanaenda kulipa baadaye shilingi 1300. 1320. Nimesahau 20. 1320. So leo tunapindua mambo, kwa sababu niliwaahidi tutashughulikia sekta hii ya bodaboda, na niliwaeleza tutafanya mambo, na mambo tumefanya. Tunaelewana? Katika finance bill, wenye wengine walipinga kwa kutojua, tuliweka pale kuondoa ushuru kwa sehemu tofauti tofauti ya uchumi, ambayo itawezesha bodaboda na motorcycles zipatikane kwa bei nafuu. Vile nimewaeleza, hii pikipiki kwa sasa ilikuwa inatugharimu shilingi 1270 kwa sababu ni ya e-mobility. Lakini kupitia kwa mpango wa serikali na vile tumeondoa ushuru na vile tumepunguza sehemu tofauti tofauti, sasa hii pikipiki itatoka shilingi 1270 itakuja 1160. Vile vile nimewaeleza ya kwamba ile interest rate mulikuwa mnalipishwa ndio pikipiki ya 130,000 ifike 1300, ilikuwa ni karibu 60%. Hiyo interest rate sasa tumeisukuma chini kutoka 60% mpaka chini ya 10%, na tunashukuru bank ya KCB kwa kuwa na imani na ndugu zetu wa bodaboda na kuwa na imani na serikali ya Kenya. So ile pikipiki hata ukichukua kwa mkopo kutoka 1160, ingekuwa kama ingekuwa ile mkopo ya zamani, ingekuwa inafika shilingi 1300 na pengine 70. Lakini sasa ukichukua hata kwa mkopo itakuwa 1190. So we are making a real difference. Na vile mumesikia vile vile, sasa malipo yako kama utakopa hiyo bodaboda ni shilingi 180 kwa siku, badala ya shilingi 450, 500. Mnanielewa nyinyi wangwana? Na tena tumesema pale wakati ulikuwa unalipia petroli pengine shilingi 300, shilingi 400 kila siku, sasa kubadilisha betri ya hii pikipiki yenu sasa itakuwa bei nusu ya ile mlikuwa mnalipa ya petroli. So mambo iko sawa, nyinyi mjipange. Sasa kila mtu atakuwa na kakitu kwa mfuko, si ndio? Na mtajipanga hapo. Ya mwisho, vile vile tumesema hii pikipiki imekuwa ni sekta ambayo, bodaboda imekuwa ni sekta ambayo iko na ajali nyingi. Umesikia vile waziri amesema, kati ya ajali 5,000 Kenya, ajali maafa 5,000, 3,000 inatokana na pikipiki. Na sana sana ni kwa sababu ya pikipiki zinazoendeshwa kwa kasi. Sasa hii pikipiki tutakuwa tuna regulate speed. Hata ukiwa mjeuri kiasi gani, utaisukuma haitapita 60 km/h. Tunaelewana bana? Sasa mambo itakuwa taratibu. Mbio, kasi na kuleta ajali tutaifungia. Ama namna gani? Tuko pamoja? Kuna mtu wa bodaboda anapinga kweli tupunguze ajali? Kuna mtu anataka ajali iendelee? kwa sababu hiyo ajali inaumiza watu wanakufa, wengine wanavunjika, wengine madeni hospitalini, tunajaza watu mpaka kuna ward ambaye kwa kila hospitali kuna ward inaitwa ya bodaboda. Watu wamevunjika miguu, mwingine amevunjika kichwa, mwingine amekongwa mahali fulani. So hiyo maneno sasa tusimamishe. Hiyo kama tunakubaliana jameni. Tupunguze speed ama mnasema iendelee ile mambo ya zamani. So haya mambo yote tutayashughulikia, na sasa tuko na nafasi ya kuhakikisha kwamba sekta ya bodaboda inatusaidia kusafirisha wananchi, kusafirisha mizigo bila ajali, kwa bei ya chini, na bila kuharibu hewa ya nchi ama environment ya taifa letu. So it is, I think we can call a triple win if there was anything like that. So nikimalizia katika jambo hili, nafikiri tumekubaliana na sote tutashirikiana. Nataka niwaambie watu wa Mombasa, mimi nitarudi hapa hivi karibuni kwa sababu tuko na mpango na county government yenu.